So today we decided to talking about censorship because we think that has always been a controversial topic and still is. I would like to start from a definition because it was very hard to find an exhaustive definition. That's why I thought it was useful to present censorship at three levels. In a broader sense, we can say that censorship refers to suppression of information, ideas, or artistic expression by anyone, whether government, official, church authorities, but also private pressure groups or speakers. In a legalistic sense, censorship means only the privation by official government action of the circulation of messages already produced. In general, censorship means the supervision and control of the information and ideas that are circulated among the people within a society. Then we can say that censorship can take different forms. We can say that it exists a moral censorship, a military censorship, a political censorship, and a religious censorship. Two questions come in our mind when we talk about censorship. The first one is why we need censorship, and the second one is censorship justifiable? For the first question, the answer seems to be obvious, because censorship is necessary because it avoids the access to violence, pornography, deviant sexual bad practices, for example, pedophilia, violence in general, nudity, full language, and then material that may offend racial, religious, sensitive conflict. And then especially to protect children or other vulnerable groups. Then for the second question, I think it was very important to take into consideration some case of study, because it's also important to take into consideration the right of liberty and freedom of expression, because censorship implies the restriction of individual. And I think that it was also important to explain the Article 19 of the Universal Declaration of Human Rights that says that everyone has the right to freedom of opinion and expression. And I would like to compare this article to the First Amendment of the US Constitution, because it also says that the Americans' rights is that the American Constitution protects the rights of freedom, but at the same time, it protects the rights to citizens to express themselves without the government interference. But at the same time, it says that the amendment, that are limitations to how the amendment can be invoked. Then I can give the floor to my colleague.
Hello. So I decided to talk about North Korea because it is one of the most repressive countries in the world, and the censorship there is very, very, very extreme. So censorship in North Korea ranks among some of the most extreme in the world, with the government able to take strict control over communications. North Korea is ranked as the bottom of Reporters Without Borders annual press freedom index, occupying the last place in 2020. All media outlets are owned and controlled by the North Korean government. As such, all media in North Korea get their news from the Korean Central News Agency. The media dedicate a large portion of their resources toward political propaganda and promoting the personality cult of Kim's second son, Kim Jong-il, and Kim Jong-un. I'm sorry if the pronunciation is not correct. The government of Kim Jong-un still has absolute authority. He has the complete control over the press and information. Please, can you change this slide? Okay, so now I'm going to talk about the mobile phone ban in North Korea. Well, the North Korean government has implemented policies to prevent outside sources of information from reaching the people of North Korea. Starting in the 1990s, when famine overtook the country, traders used cell phones as a means to illegally bring foods, goods, and stuff like that across the border. In December 2008, an Egyptian company named Orascom Telecom introduced North Korea to a 3G network. Internet access is permitted only for foreign travelers or the elite, the rich people of the society. By 2015, 3 million North Korean had subscribed to KoreaLink. Users of KoreaLink must apply for permission to subscribe and are subject to controls and surveillance by at least 8 ministries and organizations between the party, state, and army. So there are hard checkings and all that. In 2013, foreigners were granted 3G mobile phone internet access by monthly data plan. This service could be implemented via USB modem or a SIM card. Recently, with more government awareness of alternative access to external information, increased security measures to eliminate these resources have been enacted. This includes higher border security, where illicit cell phones gain access to China's mobile networks. These phones could be vehicles for releasing detailed news of harsh ruling within the country, which is prohibited. Beyond punishment for those using phones within the country, a danger exists for escapees spreading knowledge of the country's extreme laws. Text messages and cell phone photographs are sent to external journalists and activities in South Korea to spread knowledge of the conditions. As social media and news applications via smartphones become the common thread of news outlets, North Korea pushes further curtailment. A tightly controlled cyberspace exists within the country, where a small number of upper-class citizens have access to an intranet called Kwangmyong. In contrast to the otherwise global World Wide Web. This independent resource provides communication between industry, universities, and government. It is used to spread information through chats and emails, which are both monitored and filtered by the government itself, allowing only a select group of researchers, propagandists, and media workers to access state media and items which have been removed from the public's internet. Okay, journalism in North Korea. North Korea is ranked second to the bottom of the Press Freedom Index, rankings published annually by Reporters Without Borders. From 2002 through 2006, the country was listed as the worst in the world. And from 2007 to 2016, it was listed second to last, behind Eritrea, of some 180 countries. In 2017 and 2018, North Korea was ranked the worst again. And in 2019, it was rated second to last, above Turkmenistan. In 2020, it was once again ranked last. So you can understand the situation of journalism there. To become a journalist in North Korea, one has to graduate from college, and after an ideology review and a strict background check, the student is drafted by the college dean and the managers. The drafted journalist will normally go through a probation period of 4 to 5 years and is then stationed after an assessment. In North Korea, journalism as a job is to guard, defend, and advocate for both the party and the party leaders. Since the role is defined as being a political activist and a fighter who can mobilize a crowd, a journalist in North Korea should be deemed a supporter of Kim of Kim Song and a fervent political activist with a war correspondent spirit and political qualification. Journalists in North Korea are re-educated continuously. The organization that takes charge of the re-education of journalists in North Korea is the Chosen Reporter Alliance, which is the strongest and the most systematized organization among the reporters and journalists. The organization trains journalists and reporters on philosophy, economics, world history, world literature, and foreign languages. Arguing about the contradictions in the system of North Korea itself is considered treason and is treated as a major violation in North Korean society. Over 70% of reports of North Korean Central Broadcasting are allotted for Kim's idealization and propaganda system. The rest of the reports are spent on blaming and predicting the collapse of the United States, Japan, and South Korea. The reporters in North Korea spend their time writing articles that reflect North Korea in a very positive light. Kim Jong-il used to punish the people who wrote from a different point of view, saying words describe one's ideas. After re-education, a journalist who works for over 15 years and has made a major contribution is titled a distinguished journalist. Next slide. So this is the last slide, and I want to talk about internet policies in North Korea. Well, in 2006, the head of the internet desk named Julian Payne described North Korea as the world's worst internet black hole. Internet access is not generally available in North Korea. Only some high-level officials are allowed to access the global internet. In most universities, a small number of strictly monitored computers are provided. Other citizens may get access only to the country's national internet called Kwangmyeon. Content of Kwangmyeon is curated by Korea Computer Center. Foreigners can access the internet using 3G phone network. However, the IT industry has been growing and internet access is starting to increase within North Korea. The North Korean ULIM, an Android-based tablet computer, is available since 2014 and has a high level of inbuilt surveillance and control. The tablet takes screenshots of apps opened by the user and saves browsing history. So in a few words, in North Korea, there is no freedom, there is an extreme censorship, and they control your daily lives. Like people who live in North Korea cannot know, are not able to have access of information about what's happening outside the world, and people from all over the world cannot know what's actually happening in North Korea. And the media has to show North Korea in a decent light, as a positive country, as a nice country, and its leader as a good leader, even though he isn't a good leader. And with this, I want to end this presentation, and I hope it was interesting.
At the end, we would like to ask to the class, do you agree there should be censorship in a society? And if you are against censorship, what are the reasons? Thank you for the attention.
Thank you.